We're on.
Okay. I'll say good morning again. It's 9:01. Welcome to the Sewage Water Board Finance Administration Committee. I'd like to call that committee to order now. Special Counsel, would you please call the roll?
Director Sloss,
I'm here.
Director Howard. Here. Director Pacho.
Here.
Director Guzman.
Here.
Director Markowitz. Chair, we do have a quorum.
Thank you. To begin, we have our financial summary and change order impacts presented by our CFO, Gray Lewis.
Hey, good morning. Thank you everyone for the opportunity to be here. Give a quick update on our May financials, which was included in the packet. But at the beginning, I wanted to just let the committee know we completed the fiscal 22 audit June 26th. So very, very happy and I appreciate the team's effort to work through that. It's pretty intense from March or so all the way through the end of June. Pretty good results. We have a couple of recommendations that would be good to implement, but no major issues or findings. So much improved on that. Our external auditors, Postal Wade and Netterville, have joined a national firm, Eisner and Ampner. You'll see that name. So this audit was signed with Postal Wade and Netterville, but they've gone through a transaction, but we still have the same local team serving us, and they operate out of, I guess, the Gulf Coast office of Eisner and Ampner, which is based in New York. So we'll continue to work with them, and they'll be doing the audit results to the audit committee in the next couple of months. So happy with the efforts, and thanks to the team much.
Congratulations to you and your team. 4 days to spare. That's terrific. I remember times we weren't getting it until October, and no significant issues. So that's great work. Thank you.
So here in May, just want to highlight a few of the key numbers. Again, we're staying busy with all the major capital projects, but in May, the top line revenue, operating revenues with $20.7 million. Year to date, we're lower than the budget by about $3.9 million, which is based on volume build. So should see that catch up over the next coming months. In the millage, we're at about $53.3 million year to date, so a little less than budget. So continue to monitor those. On the expense side, we at about $26.1 million for the month of May, and this is less than budget by several million, and also year to date. So sort of took a look at those. Our utility, we've still got a lot of months ahead of us in this fiscal year, in the hurricane season, a lot of emergency repair work that's sort of going on now, could happen. So as we look at the sort of by fund, just to look into the variance a little bit more, water, sewer, drainage, kind of see an equal share of less expenses than budgeted. So taking a look into it, there's some good factors I think that are going to work in our favor with the utility costs. The purchase gas rate this time last year that we were paying Entergy was very high. So that's come down since then. So those costs are lower. So that's going to affect our numbers, which is a good thing. We'll have, as I said, other unexpected expenses more than likely later in the year. The actual medical and pension costs, when we look at cash spent, is less than estimated. So that's favorable. There's other factors, such as invoices. If those haven't been received, they're not in the numbers yet. So we have that situation which we talked about, but we have purchase orders out for them. We expect expenses to come in. So it's a continuing monitoring type of thing we'll have to keep an eye on, but that's sort of where we are at this point in the year.
How much money how much of the difference is available after you take into account the contingencies that you expect to come up? Is there a delta of unspent money that can be repositioned in some way?
Yeah, I don't have an exact number on that, but we essentially for a favorable variance now, we sort of hold that. We're not going to reallocate that to something else until we feel more comfortable that it's going to get realized, or perhaps that's more pay-go. So there's a little more flexibility But again, we have emergency expenses, that are going on right now. So, I don't have an exact number, but that's sort of the thought process. But given that we're, shorter on revenue as well, it's a relatively good position to be in at this point. But we're still a little bit earlier in the year.
But there's nothing we should be doing that we're not doing that's negatively affecting, because I get concerned when I see if you have things budgeted for operations and it's.
Yeah, it ties into we conservatively budget a lot of line items, and that's to protect the bonding capacity, make sure that we're well within those limits. I'll comment on those as we have our debt service coverage for the audited fiscal 22 number that I want to show on the next slide here as well. But cash collections in June, 20.6 million, so it's lower than the high number in May. It's dropped down, so it continues to be a focus area. And then on the dashboard here, I was saying I want to highlight our line 11, our final debt service coverage for fiscal 22 is 2.54 for water and 2.59 for sewer. We budgeted at about 1.9, so that's where we're getting actual, flexibility, and we had more expenses, so that's, helping us protect our bonding capacity, allowing us to have flexibility in pay-go, and again, look for future bonding opportunities. So that's a good thing. The other numbers and, receivables dropped down compared to last May of 22. The accounts in dispute, which is line 23, is increased here at the end of May. So we're going to talk about that. We took a look into that here in a couple slides. I'll talk to that. We had 1,375 service orders for disconnects. So we continue to have a regular process to do all those important aspects of the collections cycle and activities.
Do we have I read the disconnects number. Do we have a reconnects, or is that net disconnected, not reconnected? I get we turn somebody's water off, but
we do
most of the time-
turn-ons, yes. It's a different number. I haven't reported that here, but there's a number of turn-ons every single month.
No, I didn't expect you to have it right here, right now, but if we're below budget on revenue, then we must be losing customers. And I was curious to see if we're having disconnects, and if we're having 8,975 disconnects and 8,975 reconnects, then it's a net zero. I'm curious to know what the net loss is on that. I know you don't have it right this second, but
I'll check on that, because I haven't looked at that number. You would think it would align with the disconnect number. It should.
and it's a quick process. Once they turn right back on when they pay, right?
Right, and the few that remain disconnected, it's a net loss. I mean, zero loss, because they're not paying.
Well,
There's no revenue.
For whatever reason, it's a customer loss.
It's a customer loss, but not necessarily a revenue
Yeah.
loss. But I would
No,
say
I get-
virtually all get reconnected, so.
Well, then why would our revenue be down?
If they're using less gallons, volume.
Conservation in this town? Good. Glad to hear that.
The number of delinquent accounts is pretty much the same as it was a year ago. I know that you've been looking at ways of starting to deal with this. Is there any kind of progress to report on that, Gray?
Yeah, right now the payment plans is something we're taking a look at, with a software, different type of software to be able to reach out to customers to get them on, to get them in a better routine. But we work with the large customers that have showed up on our top list, but so many customers, such a backlog. It's going to require more time, more consistency in the collection practices, sort of a different narrative, such that we can get the customers caught up. Because it's say $2,000 or $3,000 for a residential person, it's very difficult to climb out of that type of hole in a few months. Well, we have some ideas, some thoughts on this software, and be sharing, sharing that with the committee in the coming months.
Is that still primarily multifamily, or the percentage of
Right.
delinquent accounts, is that multifamily? Larger
There's a
percentage?
number of customers in each class, including multifamily. Each residential, commercial, multifamily, each has a share. It's sort of aligned with the majority of our accounts are residential, but it's not just one class of customers. It's each one has a share of them. But yeah, we do meet with Renee's team, and we have our new controller, Susanna Kirby, is working with Renee and myself, because really each of these processes in the collection cycle have plenty of room to be tightened up, and better notifications, communication with the customer, and just consistency to improve the numbers. Let's see here. I want to cover this. Let me come back to this one. I wanted to just cover the debt obligation to let the committee know we just had normal activity on our obligations. We continue to work with the GSO office to spend down available bond proceeds. Here on this schedule, we're showing the capital appropriations. May was an active month with $38 million of appropriations for water and sewer for our major programs for JIRR, and then the consent decree work for sewer. And then we paid out $6.7 million in capital invoices. There below in the grant status update, we're showing about $2 million reimbursed in the month of May for JIRR for that FEMA PW project worksheet. And then this was the change order slide. There wasn't a lot of activity in the month, and Ron will run through those. But just to highlight for the committee, one particular change order is line 4, the smart metering, and by the way, this is the updated schedule.
Can we magnify that? Is there a way to make that bigger so we can read it?
See if you guys can
Please.
zoom in. Yeah, there you go.
Control plus.
Yeah, so just to clarify, sent this email out again yesterday, because I initially prepared this based on the draft of the material, so that we just updated like the resolution numbers, so it would tie back, and a couple of the numbers needed to be updated. But like I said, just a few smaller change orders. The one I was going to highlight, remind the committee that Jacobs Smart Metering, they are program manager for delivering smart meters. We modified the contract so that they could hire additional communications firm or the lead service line communications that will need to be done with smart metering. So that added $373,000 to that contract. And as we've talked about, we have some budgetary needs in the fiscal 24 and 25 that we're still working on identifying funds, so that 373 sort of goes into that whole smart metering budget need.
That's for external communication?
For lead service lines, yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's the team that came and made a presentation to the, not this committee, another committee.
That's correct.
About a month or so ago.
External.
yeah.
Good.
Yeah, so that's it for change orders. Let me see if I can finish off with, guess you guys zoom back.
I have a question on customer.
So much.
And I don't know who this is for, but it says we have 50,000 customers served, but when I add up all the numbers of I don't get to 50,000, so I'm wondering what I'm doing wrong.
Yeah, there's emails,
Even with emails, I mean.
IVR, the voice response, and then customers that walk in. So there's an additional group that's not presented here that you have to add in to get to the 50. So phone, email, and live customers. So you can shrink back down. Let's see if I can get back on the right page here. I'm sorry, I'm trying to go to page 7. Maybe I just need to pick up here.
And just for clarity, CIP means capital improvement?
Yes. Capital Improvement Program. So over 50,000, 266 customers were served. So we had an increase in total calls and wait time. This is our just chart showing those numbers on customer calls. And collections, there were 121,000 payments during the month, so that was a good high number for the year so far. And then here on this slide, I wanted to just take a minute and show here on the bottom portion, total bills issued. This is one I've been harping on, the consistency, need for consistency, and we see the last 3 months we have issued over 135,000 in each of those months. June, we issued about 130,000. So this would be, if you look back in the history, there's not more than 3 months in a row that we issued at least 135,000 bills in the month, showing that the consistency hasn't been there that we're trying to get to. So if we can get this going forward to get to so there's not the volatility that really shouldn't be there, then I think we'll see better results on the collections and just customer satisfaction in general. And then we have the split between estimated and actual based on the alternative meter reading strategy.
That's really starting to stabilize. That's working.
Yeah, no, we're happy to see that. Agreed. On this schedule, the customer accounts aging report, we see the decrease during the month from last month was about 4.3 million, 8% lower in receivables, 56.6 million roughly. We see the breakdown of the accounts and disputes we were talking about. So with a higher number at the end of May, we look at basically the number requested in the month. So we do see a higher number of requests have been made by customers. We saw a slower rate of closure of previously open cases or requests for a bill investigation. So both of those are working to increase the open number at the end of the month. We tend to expect with routine collections and people getting notices, people tend to call in and ask for a bill investigation. And then we do see or expect with the alternative meter reading strategy, we have additional true-up bills that are coming in. If people haven't previously gotten an actual, they've gotten estimated a few times, they see a large true-up, they call and ask for investigation, and then we go through the process with them. And again, as a reminder, it's a voluntary, anyone could ask for an investigation. They can call and speak to the customer service representative, have a question. It may be explained to them. It may completely make sense, but if they say, I still would like an investigation, it goes in as a requested investigation, and then we escalate it to the next level to basically close out and send the customer a letter.
Is there any reason why it looks like a significant jump from April to May, accounts in dispute?
We looked into that, and we didn't see a specific sort of direct issue with like a particular billing group or a particular route or something very specific to derive that increase. So generally, we'll have to keep an eye on to see if there is something specific. But if it is just these general reasons people typically ask, then we have to basically just run through the process with that individual customer. And we, frankly, are pursuing these situations where there are still customers that have gotten multiple estimates in a row, and now we're being more intentional trying to go out and do the actual read. That results in a true-up. The likelihood is they may ask for an investigation. But Renee and I, we've met closely, or working on this closely because we realize that it is a focus number that we talk about often, and again, we want to be responsive to the customer, answer their questions, work with them on paying the true-up bill if that's the case, and whatever needs they may have, just have to work it out and go from there. So. And this graph is just showing the delinquent accounts that we talked about. So again, this is still an issue and a focus area. So Any other questions? That's all I had from a prepared remarks. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much. Reporting again, great about the audit. Good result. So the next thing is we have action items, first of which would be Resolution R080-2023 to renew and extend licensing agreement with ESRI, I guess.
Morning. Information Systems is seeking to renew and extend our license with Esri for computer mapping software. We've been doing these 3-year contracts since 2017, and the total cost for the next 3 years is $1,358,550, or approximately $450,000 a year. Doing it this way, we have really managed to keep the increase since the beginning of 2017 quite low. So, does anybody have any questions?
No questions? Do we approve this right now? We go on to the next?
Yes, we approve this one.
Approve. They got to learn by now. Is there somebody make a motion to approve this, please?
So moved.
Second.
Moved properly seconded. Is there any discussion on this matter? No. Is there any public comment?
No public comment, Chair.
Okay, all in favor, please so signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Bringing us now to the General Superintendent's recommendations. Ron, if you would.
Thank you.
Tee it up.
There are a total of 9 total items. The first section for contract awards and renewals, that's Resolution R076-2023. The first and final renewal of contract AL 220012 and CM 220026, furnishing polyelectrolyte. The electrolyte is used in our chemical treatment process at both Algiers and the Carrollton Water Treatment Plant. The original contract was for 1 year with 1-year renewal option. The board is seeking to exercise its first and final 1-year renewal of the original contract in the amount of $1,440,000.
Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
All right. Is there any discussion about this? Is there any public comment?
No public
No
comment, Chair.
public comment. In that case, all in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? That motion carries. Thank you. And we now have got contract change orders, which there are, what, 4 of those?
Yes, 4 contract change orders, like to take them in global. The first contract change order is Resolution R077-2023. That is the change order number 1 for contract YG 19-0001. That's furnishing and delivering diesel and gasoline fuel to the various facilities at the Sewage and Water Board. Again, this original contract was for 2 years and 2 1-year renewal periods, which we exercise both renewal periods. This change order will allow us to have a continuity of operations through November of this year in the amount of $600,000. We are advertising a new contract in August of this year, so this will allow us to have continuity of services to November of this year until the new contract is executed in NTP. This change order is in the amount of $600,000, and we are adding additional 135 days to bring us to November of this year. Second resolution.
Just a
Yes, sir.
question, Ron. DBE participation, 0, why is?
Because it's supplying fuel itself. So the fuel manufacturer actually manufactures the fuel and delivers the fuel in their own vehicles.
Any idea what we're paying a gallon for diesel? Do you know what the diesel price is, just out of curiosity?
I sure don't. I can get that information.
Love
get
to
back
know,
you.
yeah.
Yep.
Thank you. You going to continue, I suppose? Yeah.
Yes, second change order is Resolution R083-2023. That is a ratification of change order number 2 for contract 2152. That's a Gertown Waterline Replacement Program from Dupree Street, TM004, and that's FEMA PW 21031 and PW 21032. This change order is really a closeout change order associated with this contract, associated with field change orders number 5, where we are adding an increase of a little less than $121,000 for pay quantities for additional work in the field. And change order number 6, when we did our under run, it's a deduct of $8,200. So this change order number 2 is in it's in a total value of $112,798 for a new contract of a little less than $3 million, and we're adding 139 days to this contract to officially close out that contract, which was January of this year.
Ron, question. When I was trying to understand what's going on here, the field orders are things that are made, kind of changes on the go, is that?
Yes, ma'am.
And then they come to the board to confirm, ratify them, is that what's going on?
Yes,
here?
this ratification is really based upon the work that was done previously.
Okay.
And to keep from delaying the project even further, we would ratify this contract. And we have 3 on it, and I'll go through all 3 of those also.
Thank you.
2 additionals, okay?
So-
Yes.
Well, we can get into it, but that's a good point. Because looking at it, you would think that it was the resolution. You wouldn't realize that it's happened already from reading that. It's ratification is a little bit different than pre-approval, obviously.
It's an after the fact. There's certain circumstances why we do ratifications. One that we've explained before is, and this is not the case, the other 2, is delays. So sometimes your delay costs, if you wait for the next board meeting, would far exceed waiting.
I don't object to anything, but my point is not that I realize we have to do it.
Yes.
I get that completely. It's just I wonder if it's been categorized differently as having already been done, and maybe that's just picking at tiny little things, or just leave it alone. But
I have the same question for you too, because proposed completion date happened already.
and it's not a complaint about what's going on. It just, it strikes me maybe it should be a separate category of ratification. I don't know.
It's, it's still consistent with the change order category. And we try and minimize as much as we can with ratification, but there are circumstances that decision would have to be made. And then you negotiate with the contractor. The whole goal is to keep the contract moving.
I don't have any objection to what has to happen.
Yeah.
It's just, it strikes me that I would separate it out as it's already happened. That's all. It's just it's something to discuss when we have nothing to do.
Okay. The third change order is Resolution R084-2023. That's ratification of change order number 2 for contract 1418 at the Carrollton Water Plant. And as you can see in the description, this was really a field adjustment based upon the conditions with installing piles at full length per the contract. And once we did one to mitigate and reduce some of the risk of what we had, we made a field change to install the piles in half. Part of that, this change order was the contractor did fabricate weld. They come in half sections welded together. And based upon this field change, this was just to make that adjustment for those piles and continue with the work. As you can see, the work change directive was done back in March, but we negotiated back and forth with the contractor to get the appropriate change order costs. This change order is an amount of a little less than $149,000 for contract 1418. Yes.
I'm confused on this one. Is this something that we should have been known up front, or?
Yeah.
It looks
Question I
like,
had.
is this our screw up, I guess is my question.
I would say during the design phase, we looked at a design and felt somewhat comfortable that we can do a full length pile. Once we went in the field and to install a pile, we ran into some difficulties, number one. And number two, based upon to mitigate risk when we're out there, this is our first time driving piles that long within the plant itself. We made the decision, and it came from General Superintendent's office, me, myself, in consultation with our designers and the contractors to go to half piles, drive to half piles. The cost here was associated with the weld rework associated with those piles they welded. So it's more than 17 piles. We have a total right at 60, 65 piles on the project, so we're doing that mitigation there. But to answer your question, during the design phase, yes, we thought that was appropriate means to drive the piles, but once we got into the facility, how tight some of the resources were, we made the decision to do a field adjustment, which we would do, and to make that change. And again, this ratification was based upon keeping continuity of service, keeping the work going, while we negotiated back and forth to get the best change order with the contractor.
Well, the contractor looked at the plans, made a bid.
That's correct.
Obviously understood it was, I think you said 120 foot. Did they participate in the cost, or is this a negotiated
Yes, they
raise?
did.
Or
Hence the reason why it took quite a while going back and forth with the contractor. Some change orders do take a little while. It's just not that straightforward. And we're still working with this contractor on this change order. So again, all parties were involved with this change order. Just want to let you know that.
Yeah, I mean, if they agreed to do something for a price and it turned out for whatever reason they couldn't and they had approved it, I would hope they're participating in that.
That they are.
I certainly don't want to see them making a profit on the 148.
Right.
Well, any other, Joe, do you have some on that?
I'm just asking that we get the procurement information complete on these forms. For example, compliance with procurement laws, we don't have a yes or a no.
Oh, on the fact sheet?
Yeah,
Okay. I'll take a look at that with the fact sheet.
I'd particularly like to know the answer to that one.
Yeah, we want to be.
And that may be something we need to add to the fact sheet, but we'll take
It's
a look
there.
at it.
It's just not
already.
filled out.
Oh, it's not filled out. I'll take care of that. Absolutely.
And Mr. Chairman, just wanted you to know that we've had the same discussion that we're having today, and I asked Ron to,
Mhm.
go back and negotiate a little harder with the cost share of that situation, that change. So, what you may be approving an amount, we're hoping it would be lesser amount when
Yes.
we're all said and done. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, good. So we're approving a max here, maybe less.
It's a NTE not to exceed.
Yeah.
I like that. I'll write that down.
Appreciate
Okay.
the question.
And the last change order associated with Resolution R 085/2023. This is ratification under different circumstances. So this change order is associated with certain components associated with this contract. In particular, if you go to the next page, the last, whereas it's 2 transformers associated with your overall equipment purchase of the static frequency converter number 1, as you can read. We've actually advertised these static frequency converter contracts about a year and a half ago, under the assumption based upon certain timelines, certain milestones would be in place. The transformers were scheduled to be delivered. They are ready, scheduled to be delivered in February. Our facilities are not ready for the transformers, not until November, based upon how we're getting contracts out and with funding issues. This change order really is for storage fees associated with properly stored and maintaining these transformers in a proper environment until they're delivered to the Carrollton Water Plant in November. This change order is in the amount of $164,305.01. So, and this completes the contract change order section.
Thank you. Is there, may I have a motion to approve in Globo contract change orders 7723, 8323, 8423, and 8523?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and properly seconded. Is there any further discussion, any of these? No. Any public comment?
No public comment, Chair.
All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thanks very much. We have contract amendments next.
Yes, Mr. Chair, 2 amendments. First amendment is Resolution R 086/2023. This amendment is a reauthorization of Amendment Number 13 that was passed at the last board meeting to the Professional Services Agreement between the Sewage and Water Board of New Orleans and MWH Americas, predecessor and interest of Stantec Consultant Services for the design and engineering services for the water line replacement program. We'll go right to the page 3. The last whereas, and in essence, there was Resolution R 41/2023. I'm sorry, it was approved at the March board meeting. We are authorized amending that agreement based upon fees that were incorrect. And as you can see in that last whereas, the additional fees not to exceed 1.582 million should have been 1.069 million, and a total maximum compensation to be $5.614 million. So we are reauthorizing this amendment for the correct amount of those fees. Any questions?
No.
And the second amendment is Resolution R 087 2023. This is what Gray was referring to earlier. And in essence, in February of this year, the Louisiana Department of Health issued communications to the various water service providers, strongly recommending the water system operators implement service line disturbance mitigation procedures as outlined in the LCR. So what the board, they were required to provide drinking water filtration and lead education materials to all of our customers with this condition. This change order is to amend the consultant contract for additional services for the lead service line outreach program management, a communication needs assessment, and that's what was done when we selected that firm, and also to provide a strategic development of strategic lead communications plan. So this change order is in the amount of $372,663. That completes the contract amendment section.
Is there a motion to approve amendments 86, 2023 and 87, 2023?
So moved.
Second, somebody?
Second.
Second, been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? No. Any public comment? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That carries, and bringing us to contract final acceptance.
Sorry, can I?
Yep.
I forgot to ask something. When we had one where we were waiting for 22 million to come in from the city. And it looked like we delayed waiting for that money, and it caused an increase in the contract price. This is under the ratification change order number 3. I'm sorry to go back, but I meant to ask this question because it's more general that.
Which one you on, Joan? Sorry.
Resolution 85.
What?
85.
85.
Sorry, thank you.
When do we not have alternate sources of funding we can use to prevent a delay that's going to cause price increases?
Not to the
Well,
amount that we had in this case, $22 million. Sometimes we do front some money knowing that, there's a different source of money coming in and we can leverage that. But in this case, was a big risk.
Yeah.
There was a lot of back and forth on that. It was not 100% certain. So if we had fronted the money, then
This was the battle with City Hall.
kind of.
Right.
So it would have been money fronted with a higher risk.
Okay.
And if it didn't come through, then it would have been on us.
So it ends up costing us delay money just because of the politics. Okay, thank you.
actually, that's the storage fee we're talking about here?
No, this is the change order that was approved previously.
Thank you, Susan.
For the Barnes Electric.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Yep. All
And
right.
the final, Mr. Chair, we've got 2 contract final acceptances. The first is Resolution R 074. That's final acceptance of contract 1370 Alpha, 1370A. That's our HMTP program. That is our last contract of our original HMTP program immediately after Hurricane Katrina. And that was for the construction of a 60 hertz transformer switchgear project between the Sewage and Water Board of New Orleans and Barnes Electric. The second final acceptance is Resolution R 075 2023. That is the final acceptance of contract 2152, where we had the previous change order, TM 004 Gertown Waterline Replacement Program, that Dupree Street, and this is between the Sewage and Water Board of New Orleans and BLD Services. And that completes the General Superintendent's report.
May I have a motion to accept the contract filing, to approve contract filing acceptances R 74, 2023 and R 75, 2023? Moved. Seconded. Is there any further discussion? Those matters, is there any public comment?
No public comment.
All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Or you can say yay. Any opposed? No opposed. That carries. Thanks very much. We have That's it?
Yeah, we have information items.
Information items.
No
and-
public comments, and we
Any
have no
public
public
comment?
comments.
We got a lot of people in here today. Um,
Just staff to answer any questions.
Can we just delay a while to hang out?
Just stay out of the heat. Stay out of the heat.
Could I go back and ask something?
Yeah,
I know we
sure.
approved. I just wanted some clarification. With this DBE participation, it always says up to, and I may have asked this question before, is there any guarantee or how is that monitored to ensure that some percentage or a reasonable percentage is part of that negotiation, if I'm using the right phrase?
Member Pacho, we have,
And I know you may have explained this before, but I just want to.
no problem. We have a software that both the prime contractor and the subs have to use to record their payments. And between tracking those entries and actually doing follow-up visits and calls, we're able to determine what the participation is on an ongoing basis. Those projects that are not meeting their goal, we try to do site visits to encourage the primes to use appropriate subs and to get the level of service pushed out to the DBE.
And I guess that's my devil's advocate question. How much teeth do we have to ensure that there's a reasonable percentage with some of these projects?
How much teeth? By resolution, the DBE department can actually halt work on any project if the prime is not meeting the goal, not making a good faith effort, and violating the tenets of the contract.
Has there been any pushback in recent years with the workforce problems that we face?
Not as much. Prior to COVID, we did work with a particular prime and recommended that they not be accepted for work, because not only did they not use the DBE, they made no attempt to make the DBE whole. And that was roughly about 4 years ago. By and large, our primes understand our program and try to at least work within the guidelines.
I have a question about that. The guidelines are a goal or are they contractual
There are
obligation?
aspirational goals set into contract, and you have to show a good faith effort that you have, in fact, met them.
Yeah, so there is a possibility that, they show good faith, but the goals are not met. It could happen.
Well, I mean, my question about a goal is one thing, and a legal obligation is a different thing, and that's what I was just trying to
It's a
understand.
delicate dance we
Yes,
we
yes.
do here. We have the teeth to enforce the goal. The goal is aspirational, and I hope that we not unpack what all of that means in,
Yeah, I mean, that sounds
in
kinda
terms
like
of
a
being
Gordian knot to me,
challenged
is what it
legally.
Sounds like,
Yeah, and operational is always a challenge, because if you got, work to do and they were telling you can't meet the goals, you can't
Right.
stop the work, yeah, so.
I get it.
So,
And
but
if
there's
you-
investigation, the DBE department does the investigation on the good faith effort. So they do their own investigatory work, working with the prime, working with the DBE to make sure that there is a good faith effort if the prime is unable to meet the goal.
Right.
And it does work both ways, because we offer a lot of recommendations in advance, help contractors find qualified subcontractors, DBEs with quality product, and they reciprocate obviously with trying to achieve that goal. But also when they have difficulty with capacity or access to DBEs, they come and they explain that, and if it's legitimate, we consider it. So it goes both ways in terms of trying to achieve the goal together.
Also, I believe there's proactive measures by the city to promote training and development.
Right.
There's a particular program, I forget the name, but it's directed for water
Capacity
services.
building,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, so there's a lot of capacity building, collaboration with the city and other entities like, I believe NOAA VA.
Yeah.
Be interesting to see. My gut reaction is we hit the goal all the time. I know we don't do
we
anything all the
don't.
time. We don't, well, you know what, it'd be good, I think it'd be good for the committee to see what percentage of time we hit the goal, what percentage of time we go over the goal. If y'all have time for that. So we know what we're talking about. It'd be great.
Accept the task. Thank you.
All right. Is there anything else? We got time. I know.
And going back to the comments on ratification, just, it was recorded that we're suggesting that they're separate,
Yes.
and there's added information to clearly explain to the public why that's happening beforehand.
You're talking about the lead?
Yeah, for the ratification, just in general, that we separate them so we understand it's a different group, and we get an explanation that we can briefly discuss so, you know, the public understands why this is being approved after the fact.
And we can
Yeah.
definitely do that. We put as much information we can in the fact sheet itself, so the more detailed information is in the fact sheet in the packet. But based upon what you're hearing, we'll just have another section, change order, and then change order / ratifications. If that comes up, we'll go from there.
Yeah, and have a brief discussion, I'm just thinking the public might benefit from understanding the process.
Good point.
Yep, we can definitely do that.
Any other discussion? No public comment. I'd love to entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thanks, everybody.
Stretch it for 45 minutes.
My goal.
Are you interested in getting back on pension? Would you like to get back on pension?